Welcome to Oddschecker's Premier League weekend panel. I am your host, George Elek. To my right is our PR exec, Callum Wilson, a Scotsman who's going to give his expert views on the English Premier League. And to my left, Ryan Elliott, whose tips I'm sure you've all been following and making a pretty penny from. We're going to run through all the games this weekend very, very quickly indeed, giving all our quick thoughts and a score prediction. Starting to my right, it is Wolves against Man City. Callum.
Wolves heavily fancied in anti-post betting before things kicked off, but haven't got off to a flyer to say the least. Man City win this quite comfortably, although they did drop one at the weekend to Huddersfield. I'm going for 3-1 Manchester City.
3-1 City, Ryan.
Well, there's my credibility down the toilet, because I actually agree with Callum. 3-1 Man City as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I disagree with what Callum said about Wolves getting off to a stuttering start. I think they've played very well indeed, and they're going to be absolutely fine. But I do think this City team will probably overpower them. But Wolves are good at the back, so I'm going to say 2-0. Not quite the route that we've come to expect from Pep's teams recently. Next up, an all-London clash. Arsenal take on West Ham. Unai Emery and Manuel Pellegrini both looking for their first win at their new clubs. To my left, it is Ryan who's going to give his tip first.
Well, it's got the makings of a game involving two teams who basically can't defend, especially West Ham, who've looked pretty poor already. So I'm going to say a relatively comfortable 3-1 Arsenal win.
3-1 Arsenal. Callum, do you agree? Is it going to be Unai's first win in charge?
It certainly will. It's definitely not the greatest starts for Emery in the Premier League, 2 defeats in 2. However, I think they get it back on track here. Spirited performance against Chelsea last weekend. 2-0 win for the home team.
Yeah, I agree with home win. I think it's going to be even more emphatic than that. I'm going for 5-1 Arsenal. I think this West Ham team are absolutely terrible. I think that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to score an absolute hatful. I think this Arsenal team, as poor as they've been, are going to tear a few teams apart, and this West Ham is going to be the first one of those, but you can probably see them catching Arsenal on the break, who look pretty shaky defensively as ever. 5-1 Arsenal. Right. Bournemouth, Everton, Callum. Bournemouth playing against both teams getting off to a very good start this season, two informed teams. Which way is this one going to go?
It's not going anyway. It's going to finish as a draw, I believe. My namesake Callum Wilson already bagged 2 goals thus far in the Premier League. I think he may get off to a third goal in this game. I'm backing a 1-each draw. Spirited performance by both teams. Could be an entertaining affair, but low score, draw, 1 each.
So Callum Wilson tipping up Callum Wilson to score in a 1-1 draw. Ryan, what do you think?
I can see Everton nicking this, actually. I don't really rate Bournemouth. I really don't. They've had the worst defence in the league for quite a while now. Maybe not stats-wise, but in my opinion. And Richarlison, everyone wrote him off, and he's been brilliant. So I think he'll score. I think Everton will win 2-1.
Interesting. Everton to win 2-1. I agree with Ryan. I think Everton will win this. I think whilst Bournemouth have got off to a good start, it's just papering over the cracks at the moment. I think this Everton team under Marco Silva have got off to a cracking start, and Silva's teams do seem to press on with those good starts before it falls away later on in the season. We're only in August, so I'm saying 1-0 to Everton. Hopefully Cenk Tosun getting off to his first goal of the season. Very well fancied to score a few goals. Next up, a relegation clash. The two teams who are tipped up to be going down, both odds on for the drop. Huddersfield hosting Cardiff. Both teams looking for their first win of the season as well, Ryan. Who's going to get it?
What a tie to start talking about. Relegation battle, speak for yourself. I think this might be a bit of, could call it a shock. I don't think so. I think Cardiff will win. I think they'll win 1-0. Warnock will earmark this as an away game that he really should be looking to win. And Huddersfield look poor. And I think they'll finish bottom. I think Cardiff will win 1-0.
There you go, Cardiff 1-0. Callum, do you agree?
Not really. I think this is the game that, while on Match of the Day, I'll be making my cup of tea. That game last weekend, Cardiff-Newcastle, was one of the worst games I've seen in the best league in the world. And just horrendous all round. I'm going for, not a 0-0 per se as last weekend, but I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, well, I think that these two teams do look like the weakest two teams in the league, but I think Huddersfield and David Wagner are a class apart against this Cardiff team who are destined for the drop. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. I think Huddersfield have shown last season that they are probably in the right league. I'm not sure if the same can be said for Cardiff. So 1-0 Huddersfield, in my opinion. Next up is the Claude Puel derby. He goes to his old club, Southampton. Southampton looking in a bit out of form, to be fair. They haven't really bounced back from last season's disappointment, but they host Leicester here. Leicester obviously getting their first win of the weekend last week against Wolves. Callum, what do you think is going to happen here?
A lot of pressure on Mark Hughes at Southampton. Really hasn't hit the ground running whatsoever. Whereas Leicester started the season in very promising fettle. I'm going for 2-0 away win for Leicester.
2-0 away win, more misery for Hughes. Ryan?
Yeah, I think what you said is pretty accurate in my opinion. Although I think Southampton will score. It'll be a close game, but I don't rate them as a side, and I think they'll lose 2-1 at home.
I think everyone's getting a bit carried away with Leicester. I know they played well against United, but United are very poor indeed. I thought the Wolves clearly were the better team despite losing 2-0 against them last weekend. I think this is going to... Southampton obviously do look poor, but I think this is going to be a score draw, which doesn't really help either team. But 1-1 for me, Southampton versus Leicester. Now, the big one in the afternoon, Brighton, who we've spoken before, Ryan, about their troubles on the road, go to Anfield. Not a very easy place to play. I think we all know which way this one's going.
Yeah, Brighton are a totally different beast at home and away from home, and this will go the same sort of direction as the last game of last season, which Liverpool won 4-0 at Anfield. And Liverpool will win 4-0 at Anfield against Brighton, unfortunately.
4-0 at Anfield again for Chris Heaton's team. Callum?
Yeah, similar thought process there to Ryan, although I do think Brighton could, coming off the back of a phenomenal weekend result against Manchester United, a little bit of momentum, phenomenal result. I could maybe see them necking one, but again, it's a full house. Liverpool are going to win 4-1.
Yeah, I've gone for 3-0 here. No surprises there. Same thing. I can't really see Liverpool conceding their first goal of the season, though, especially with Brighton and their away form. On to Sunday, the early kickoff on TV. God knows why they chose this one. Watford hosting Crystal Palace. Watford obviously starting the season very well indeed. Crystal Palace, you could probably say the same about, despite losing to Liverpool last time. They did look decent. Which way is this one going to go, Callum?
It's not going either way again. I've got a lot of 1-eaches this week. It's not the most disparity in prices this weekend. There are a lot of games that are pretty close, and again, I'm tipping a 1-1 draw between Watford and Palace.
1-1 draw, ball draw. Ryan?
Yeah, 1-1 for me as well. Palace can't be too disheartened about the start of their season. Good win away at Fulham, and they actually played quite well against Liverpool. They're certainly a side to look out for potentially. It pains me to say top half. So 1-1 away at Watford as well.
Pains him to say it. I reckon there'll be more goals than that, but I do think it's going to be a draw. I'm going for 2-2. Both teams looking very good going forward. I think Palace's pace in attack will cause Watford serious problems, and obviously Roberto Pereira starting the season in very good form indeed, as is Troy Deeney. So I reckon these are going to be goals here. Both teams concentrating on attack. 2-2 in the game. So we all agree on the draw, just different score lines. Next up, not on TV but in the afternoon, is Fulham against Burnley. Fulham still yet to pick up a point. Burnley having a disappointing 3-1 home defeat to Watford last weekend. Ryan, which way is this one going to go?
Well, bear in mind Burnley will be returning on the back of a gruelling trip to Athens in their qualifier against Olympiacos for the Europa League, so that's certainly going to play a part. I do think Burnley will recover from their home defeat to Watford. Fulham's still a bit stuttery, still acclimatising. Dyche will go there, he'll be happy with the point, I think, and it'll be 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, difficult start to league proceedings for Slavisa, Jukanovic and Fulham. Very, very difficult. Haven't hit the ground running as of yet. I'm not tipping them to score against Burnley either this weekend. It's a 0-0 draw for me.
We disagree here. I think that this Burnley team, the wheels are finally going to fall off. They're going to get relegated. They're not going to be able to do it again. Coming off the back of that midweek trip, this is going to play perfectly into Fulham's hands. Who'll have 90% possession. They have the players to dominate. I think it's going to be 3 or 4-0. I'm going for 3-0 Fulham to finally get their Premier League season underway and get the points that they deserve. Afternoon now. TV game on Sky on Sunday afternoon. Newcastle hosting Chelsea. As we mentioned before, Rafa Benitez will surely get a pretty rousing reception from the travelling Chelsea fans, or maybe not. Callum, coming to you first here. Chelsea, 6 points from 6 so far. Does that become 9?
I think it absolutely certainly does. Under Mauricio Sarri, Chelsea look absolutely fit and firing. The likes of Jorginho and Kovacic have fitted into the squad as if they've been playing with them for years. They have got a little bit of a difficult record away to Newcastle. They have struggled in the past, historically, but I can see them edging out 2-1 victory. 2-1
victory, edging it out, Ryan?
Well, Newcastle are in a bit of a sort of basket case zone right now, aren't they? A bit their sort of yearly turmoil period.
You're going to get a few pelters online for saying that, maybe, from Newcastle fans. But
come at me. It'll be a good game. There'll be goals. I think it'll be close to the majority of it, but Chelsea, in the end, will come out 3-1 victors.
I'm going for an upset here. I think that Chelsea have somewhat flattered to deceive so far. I think the ease with which Arsenal carved them open time and time again last week was fairly troubling. I'm not entirely sure that they're quite there yet with the old Sarri ball, and I think the Newcastle showed against Spurs that at home there's a bit about them still. They've got a bit of steel, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Newcastle. That could look very, very
controversial.
That could look stupid on Sunday night. But luckily it's bank holiday, so I won't have to deal with it on Monday. Bank holiday, Monday night football is Manchester United against Tottenham. Normally, we'd all be so excited about this game, but are we ever excited to watch a Jose Mourinho Manchester United on TV? Ryan, coming to you first here, United Spurs, the big one on Monday night. Is it more misery for Moo?
I mean, the irony is, I can see quite an exciting game.
Yeah, me too.
Tottenham are always fairly exciting to watch. Away from home, they're not best against top 6 teams. And United have to have a response. They have to respond to the pretty poor defeat away at Brighton. An excellent Brighton side, I might add. So I'm going to say 2-2.
2-2.
Actually, that's surprising you said that, as I completely agree. I think it will be completely interesting to see how Man United recover from that kind of horrendous result at the weekend. Spurs will be coming to Old Trafford. They'll be coming in confidence. Is Mo resting on his laurels? Are the Man United team fit and firing? No, they're not. If Lindelof plays, Spurs score 2 goals, and I can see Manchester United grabbing a couple. I've went for 2 each draw.
Interesting. I think this is going to be one of the final nails in the coffin for Jose Mourinho. I think that if it was up to the Manchester United hierarchy, it would be the manager in the away dressing room rather than the home dressing room who would be managing their team. I think Spurs have started the season very well indeed. Doesn't seem too much fatigue from the World Cup. I think this is going to be Manchester United 0, Tottenham 2, and that could be the end for Jose, or maybe just another moan after the game. Thank you very much for watching us. I hope we've got some correct scores in there, or at least the wisdom of these two to my side has given you some idea of where you're going to be looking for this weekend. Make sure you check the Oddschecker site for all the best prices for all your bets ahead of the weekend, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you can see all of Ryan's tips. Luckily, you won't see much of Callum, but you see all of Ryan's tips and all the rest of our videos as soon as they go online.